Okay, here we are on my iPad, and you guys, for students, you'll find the app on your self-service. So if you tap the self-service, as you can see, it's one of the top results because it's Autodesk Sketchbook, and that's what the icon looks like, and you install that app. It'll take a few minutes because there's a lot of tools in the app, so I've never really seen it take more than 4 minutes or so. That'll just depend on what your connection is like. So now we're going to open up the app. So once you have the app, you can go to the app. So here is what the app looks like when you open it. At first, when you open it, the paper is very big. You can pinch the canvas down smaller if you want. And let's say I had a drawing on here and I wanted to start something new. You go to over here, this little piece of paper with the dots on it, and you can do a new sketch. I'm just using a cheapy stylus. I mean, if you have a smart stylus, you can use that, but I'm just using one of these so that you guys can see what that looks like. I'm going to do a new sketch, and it'll give you some parameters for size if you have specifics about how you want that to be. And I'm going to hit create. And I don't care about the thing I was doodling on before, so I'm just going to discard my current sketch. If it was something I wanted to keep, then it would save it. So here's my paper. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller to fit on the screen. Over here on this side, these are your layers. And whenever you're drawing, you actually don't want to draw everything on one layer. Like, let's say I was going to create a sketch. Let me get my pencil tool over here, which I can tap on it and I can kind of control how thick or thin my pencil is. I can also control if it's semi-transparent. That's what this opacity is. Opaque means that you cannot see through it. And so you can draw the line with the opacity way up to there, or you can alter that. I'm also going to pick black for my pencil line. Okay, so there's my color picker if I wanted to get more specific. So let's say, for example, I wanted to draw an eye. Got to go back to my pencil since I used the eraser. Okay, let's say here's all my sketchy lines. I'm going to do this real fast and messy so you can get an idea of why the layers are kind of important. Okay, so this would be kind of the same way if you were drawing on a piece of paper. You would just be able to erase a whole lot of stuff. There's the crease, and then here's the eyebrow. Okay, so I've got a whole lot going on here on this first layer. There's my first layer. And what I can do is I can lock that layer so I can't accidentally erase it. And I can put a new layer on top, and that's where I would go in and really zoom in. And I can start laying color on top of this. So let's say I want to use a marker tool. There's my marker right there. Those are the Copic markers. And then I would go over here, and let's say this is the pupil. So let's say I want to kind of clean this up. There's also a tool to draw a circle. There's a tool to draw a square too. Those are up here at the top. So then I could go in and I could fill in my pupil. The neat thing about the markers in this app is they do blend, and you can kind of layer one on top of the other to get new colors. Okay, so there's my pupil. Let's say I want to make this person have startling like blue eyes. So I can go through and I can just kind of keep the lines I want, and look, my application on this layer is covering all of my doodle scribbles that are below. I'm going to make this marker a little bit bigger. Can change it to make the tip of it bigger. And I don't have to worry about my scribble lines underneath because I can eventually delete that layer or hide that layer. Then I could go through even and I could use like a lighter blue and I can blend that on top. I can like go through and maybe put a little bit of yellow on it. See how the blue and the yellow mix together to make a green. And I could sit here the whole time and really work on creating a realistic eye so that whenever it's all done, I got my skin tones and everything. And let's just say I want to show you how it works to hide that layer. So if I don't want to see my sketchy lines, I can just go like this to that little eyeball right there and hide the layer. Which I can do that once I've put all my finished color on top. And personally what I would do is I would have one layer for the eyeball. I would have another layer for the skin tones. And I would have another layer for the eyebrow. That way if you make a mistake, it doesn't erase everything. If I want to change something and that layer is activated and I erase it, I'll erase everything involved with that. But let's just say I create another layer for my skin tone. Pardon the eye not being finished, but let's say let's see, I'll just pick this skin tone. I'm just picking something that's already made there that's kind of close, and you can mess with any kind of skin tone you want by using this slider right here. And so you can like make it paler and then you can like move it up this way, or maybe you're more towards a reddish skin tone and you can slide it any direction you want. Within those ranges, like right here, you could do a darker skin tone. You just slide this around and this is where you get your light and dark values. Okay, so I'll just go back to the pre-made one. You have these pre-made swatches and they are usually right in the center. So you can use a pre-made swatch and then kind of drag it around. And so these are going to be applications of layers. Now let's say I want to create like a little bit of a lighter area where like maybe there's a highlight hitting right here. I'm going to make my marker bigger again. So I want to have a lighter area right here. Now I know this is all looking very sketchy, but you know in class how we blend things together. This also has that same function. So let's say, you know, I've got here's my darker color. I'm trying to create like a shadowed area right here. So it kind of looks like there's a little bit more shadowy crease right here, and then it gets lighter going that way. There are smudge tools, like this one right here, smudge pen. So you tap on it once, it gives you the tool. Tap on it and again, it gives you the specifics of that tool. You can change the size, you can change the flow, you can change how strongly it works. So just to experiment, I'm just going to try it with that. And then I can take this and I can blend it all together. Now you can accidentally smudge yourself right down to the white paper. There's also blender brushes. So you can go over here and you can go to like your smudge tool. You can tap it again and you can go to settings, or you can go to library. And library, with any tool, it will tell you here's your basic tools, here's more tools, here's texture tools, and then here we have all these other options. So here's the one that says smudge. So I can pick one of these types of smudge tools. I'm going to pick that one. And what it's going to do is it's going to kind of smear and blend things together. If I'm going this way, it's taking the darker in. If I come this way, it's bringing my lighter in. And I can go through and I can actually blend colors together. And this is a fun tool to play with. Okay. You also have paint tools. You have paint brushes. So that's a color builder. This is a synthetic oil brush, acrylic, and each one of those, there's a chalk pastel. You can always go back to the library and find other more specific tools. This one right here is a round brush. So it's going to give you this kind of paint effect. And you can do all those on different layers. So that would be what I would recommend. And you can make it really small so you can kind of look at it and see if it's blending properly. And if it's not blending properly, then you can keep tinkering with it. Like I said, you're going to want to do all these things on separate layers. That way, if you have a layer that doesn't work, let's say I don't like that, I can just go through, I can select on that layer. Let me move this. Well, I can select that layer and I can drag it up. There's a little trash can tool right there where the plus sign is. Yeah, you can change that right there too. There we go. You kind of got to hold in the middle to move it. This tip makes that kind of interesting. And so like if you have a layer you don't want, like if I don't like this layer, I can just hang on to it and drag it up to the trash can. There's my original sketch, which has been locked. This little lock right here that looks like a little padlock, you can lock that so that your original sketch is always on the bottom. And whatever mistakes you make are in other layers as you go up. Some artists who do this use one layer is for, like if you were drawing a portrait, one layer would be hair, and one layer would be eyes, and one layer would be skin color, and one layer would be, and they would just go like that. That way, if the hair wasn't working out, they could just go to the hair layer and pick what's going on there. So if you were working on an assignment for class, you could use this app to do your assignment. And then what you would do is you would just, move this way over here, out of the way. You would screenshot your drawing and then submit that as your work. And the cool thing is you can like zoom way in and do like teeny tiny detailed work. Like if you wanted to really use that paint tool and see how much lighter it looks whenever you're really close up. If you're wanting to like erase something very specific, okay. I have to unlock the thing. It's telling me I need to unlock it if I want to erase. So you can get very specific and get right up to certain lines if you zoom in, and you'll have much more control. And this works too if you're having to use your finger. It's a lot easier to use your finger whenever it's zoomed in than it is whenever it's like that small. And look how much bigger my finger is compared to the surface that I'm working on. So play with it, do some sketches and some drawings and figure out how it works.
So big thanks to Miss Vegas for this tutorial. Students, please be sure to play around with the app a little bit, have it downloaded of course, and pick up a free stylus from me so we can move forward with some awesome virtual learning.